And it's from a history, a wonderful history. And if there's success, then I'm one of them. And there are many, many other stories. And I guess you're here because of that too. So we're called from where we've been to something else out there. And I think one of the key things for us today, because we're so influenced by the world and by society around us, is that sometimes we get a bit confused as to which was God's mandate for us and which is, man's view or society's view of why we're here. One of the challenges is this, is that we live in a time when the focus is on fixing stuff that's gone wrong. We got this fix-it mentality. And I know that government has a role to play in society, and so we've got we have a wonderful system, a social welfare system, and it's killing us. It's killing us, not because it's wrong, but because we abuse it. And yes, we need to care, but to create slaves, to create people so dependent for 3-4 generations, that's wrong. And so, when we focus on fixing stuff, that's what will become our reality. And even in terms of our infrastructures, whether it's our church institutions or organizations, if we try to move toward the call of Jesus by trying to fix up stuff that ain't working, all we're going to see is what ain't working. Ain't working. We're not saying that we put our head in the sand and say that there's some stuff that needs to be reorganized or adjusted. No, that's there. But what he's calling us to do, I believe, is to focus on, not on fix it, but on fullness. What's he calling us to? And what does that look like? What's it going to look like 10 years from now? Because the real outcome of today is 10 years down the road. And that's what's going to happen. That what we decide upon and choose to do as a result of today, we'll see the fruit of 10, 15 years from now. We're here today because of choices we made 10, 15 years ago. And the same thing's going to happen for us. And so, when we work in community, we know that there's no instant solutions. But if we can begin to sow some seed, and that we can wrap around that seed stuff that will enable it to stay alive and to keep growing. 10, 15 years from now, we're going to see another kind of community. A different context to the one we're in today. So, we're moving from a fix-it to fullness, from out of, and for Moses and the children of Israel, it was out of slavery, out of oppression, out of poverty, out of woundedness, and out of brokenness. But it was to a future, a vision of future horizons. So my offering to you today is what's 10 years from now going to look like for the Presbyterian churches in the northern districts. Can you dream some dreams of what that could be? There's going to be time to deal with the stuff that needs fixing. But more importantly, we need to allow ourselves to dream some more dreams, especially as older folks. Young men see visions and all fuddy-duddies and dreams of what could be. But we need to dream some dreams, people, of future horizons and focus on that. Now, let me illustrate why. And I use a lot of this stuff with the community we live in, around New Zealand or indigenous communities around the world that we work with. I illustrate the process of being able to envisage a different tomorrow and focus on that in this kind of way. Take a glass of water, nice and clear, say this, is a kind of an illustration of us. We're not an empty vessel, we're filled by the Lord's Spirit and by His presence and knowledge. And that's who we are. We are spirit wrapped up in the human frame. And but we murky it up a bit. So I get some milk or Worcester sauce or something and pour it in the water and it gets all murky. I said, if we want this clean again, how could we do that if we couldn't empty it out? If that wasn't possible. And to turn us upside down and give us, I wish I could do it with some of the people I know. I guess they wish they could do it with me. To turn me upside down and give me a good shake and all that rubbish fall out. But it doesn't happen. If you took that glass of water and you ran it under a tap, eventually what's coming out of the tap will flush out what's in that murky stuff that's there. Grace, we just sang Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound. Grace gives us time. Time for what I call the exchange. Jesus did not sing, or Jesus did not come to change my life. Much to the disappointment of some people I know. They wish he did. They thought he did. My family thought he did. But he did not come to change me. We used to preach. We get rid of smoking, drinking, blah, does this, do that, and all that list of do-do, up to your eyeballs and do-do. He didn't come to do that. He didn't come to give me a list of things I got to change. He came to exchange his life for mine. It's not a gospel of change. It's a gospel of exchange. And so we took this gospel of exchange and we said, well, how do we apply that to society? And the exchange is that future horizon. So if I focus on that and I position myself under that, grace will begin to flush out the stuff that he wants to get rid of in his time. I got people coming with a whole list of stuff they wish I could get rid of yesterday. But it's not his time. And he can hang in with me until the process of exchange has its effect on you and on me. So, meet these people. Moses said, but Lord, you've got to let me know who you will send with me. In other words, I can't do that. I can't do that stuff. If I'm to dream of a different tomorrow, how in the world am I supposed to make that happen? I'm having a hard enough time hanging in today, let alone dreaming about a different future of what this community of God's people could look like 10, 15 years from now. The fear and inadequacy that we sense and feel. Because we know this, people, that our success, our victories of the past is not enough for what God is calling us to do tomorrow. We praise God for all that we've gone through, all that we've enjoyed, all that we've had, all that we've learned. But Pharaoh's court, the burning bush, signs and wonders, Red Sea rescue, water from the rock, manna from heaven, all of those seem insignificant in the light of a new challenge. I'm not saying they're not important because they brought us to where we are today. But there's a new horizon. There's a new horizon that's going to be there before you as you allow the Lord to reveal that to you. I know you by name, and you have found favor with me. Memory of God's unconditional love, the storehouse in our minds, and is what we turn to and what we lean on in our worst moments. The fix-it mentality is really about that. It's really about trying to deal with the coping mechanisms that people turn to in their worst moments. The Bible calls it idolatry, because that's all an idol is what we lean on when we're under pressure, whatever it may be. The media loves to focus on drugs, alcohol, violence. They're all coping mechanisms. They're all different forms of idols. And our kids are learning that they're the idols that you turn to because that's what mom and dad are turning to. But there's some other